Hello, and welcome to the parent education video regarding drug testing your child. In our book, How to Help Your Child Become Drug-Free, we use the cliche that dishonesty is the currency of adolescent and young adult drug use. Young people with a relationship to intoxication protect that relationship, and they will lie, con, manipulate, and cover up to protect that relationship. So they might lie about their drug use to you, to us as their counselor. So that's why we need drug testing. Drug tests don't lie as long as drug testing protocol is followed properly. Our drug test that we will provide you with tests for the following drugs: marijuana, which shows up as the initials THC on the drug screen. We test for methamphetamine, street name is crank, crystal meth. The initials on the drug screen MAMP. We test for cocaine. You'll see the initials on the drug test COC. We also test for ecstasy, and the initials are MDMA. And we test for opiate drugs. Those are painkillers: OxyContin, morphine, Vicodin, codeine, Norco, hydrocodone. And the initials on the drug screen are OPI. On a separate drug test that we can provide you with, we test also for benzodiazepines, initials BZO, and benzodiazepines are anti-anxiety medications such as Xanax, Valium, and Klonopin. All of the drugs that we're testing for are detectable for 3 days after the person uses the drug, with the exception of marijuana, which is detectable for 10 to 14 days typically. Now, drug testing we want you to drug test every week, but drug testing should also be random in that the test isn't always on a Monday, or it's not always on a Tuesday. It's very important that you mix up the drug testing. Again, some of these drugs are only detectable for 3 days, and if your child knows that they're going to be tested every Monday, what happens sometimes is people will use drugs after they're drug tested and then wait to use them again when they're tested again. For example, if they know that they're being drug tested on every single Monday, then after they give their urine sample for the drug screen on Monday, they can use Vicodin, Valium, OxyContin, Adderall, ecstasy, opiate drugs, painkillers, benzodiazepines, and be clean on the next drug screen by Thursday because it's out of their system in 3 days. Certainly clean by the following Monday. So it's important to sometimes to mix it up and test randomly. Sometimes test twice a week, and sometimes test back-to-back. Test on a Monday and also test on a Tuesday, or test on a Friday and test on a Saturday. So that when you take that test on Friday, they think they're not going to be tested until next week, and maybe they go out and they use that night or on Saturday, test them on Saturday and see what the results say. So these tests are urine drug screens. The nice thing about urine drug testing is it tells us what's going on right now. You can do drug testing with hair analysis that some people talk about out there in the community, but hair analysis will tell you what's gone on in the last 6 months, 8 months, or longer, and we need to know what happened last week or this week. So I said at the beginning of this, drug tests don't lie as long as drug testing protocols followed properly. Parents kind of get lazy with drug testing protocol, kind of hammering on you a little bit here, but I want you to make sure that you're doing this properly. We've seen a number of kids beat these drug screens, and the way that they beat these drug screens is not by products that they drink or eat or ingest, such as cranberry juice, golden seal, vinegar, niacin. Those products don't work. The way young people beat these drug screens is to have clean urine that they got from a friend, and they have that clean urine hidden in the bathroom or hidden on their body, and then they go into the bathroom and they get the clean urine and they pour it in the cup and they bring it out. And what happens is parents look at that urine and they see that it's yellow, it feels warm, and it has bubbles, and they figure that's a good urine sample when in fact it's not. So there's really only 2 ways to collect the sample, and that is to watch them give the sample or to buy a digital thermometer. They're about $8 at the pharmacy. Buy a digital thermometer, and the temperature should read plus or minus 2 or 3 degrees of 98.6. 98.6, of course, is body temperature. All right, so make sure that you're following drug testing protocol. Don't don't get sucked into, well, I caught them off guard, or they've been grounded all week, or I woke them up first thing and they went to the bathroom in their underwear, so they couldn't have snuck anything in there. You either watch them give the sample or you test the temperature of the urine. That's it. Anything beyond that is not good drug testing protocol. Finally, when you get the results of the drug test, whether they're clean or dirty, please call your child's counselor and leave those results on the voicemail. That really helps to inform us. Like I said, they're not always honest with us, and certainly in the beginning, they're not always honest with us. As we're building a relationship with them, they really do increasingly become more honest. So it's helpful for us to know the results of that test. In the videos that you've seen already on the DVD that your child's counselor gave you, or on the main website, the 4 videos of the Parent Night presentation, you heard that young people with a relationship to intoxication are not hooked on marijuana, they're not hooked on opiate drugs, they're hooked on a relationship to intoxication. So what happens for a lot of young people, and especially marijuana users, when they start to get drug tested, they know that marijuana is going to be detectable for a long period of time. So they stop using marijuana and they switch it over to alcohol or other drugs that aren't as detectable. Alcohol is certainly one of those drugs. Alcohol is very important to test for, as it's the #1 killer for young people with substance use issues. We've had 22 people in our practice die from drugs and alcohol, and about 18 of those cases were alcohol related. So it's not a drug that we minimize at all. So we're intervening in this relationship to intoxication. You might not think that alcohol has created problems for your child, but test anyway. Like I said, we don't want them switching drugs, doing substitute or cross addiction or cross substance abuse. Also, if the test, if you use the breathalyzer, which we have at our office, we can give you or sell you, depending on how you're enrolled in our program. But we have them available. The test, if it does show that your child has used alcohol, then the manufacturer suggests to test again, test 2 or 3 times, just for reliability's sake. We are not trying to test levels. These tests, these digital breathalyzers, they're not actually that accurate in terms of the exact level of alcohol in their system, but they are very accurate to detect the presence of alcohol, and that's all we're testing for. Did they use alcohol or not? We don't care if it's a 0.03 or a 0.08. The fact that they used means that they used, and that's what we're trying to detect. Alcohol detection is a very small window, 4, 5, 6 hours, maybe up to 8 hours. So it's kind of one of those things that you have to test them when they come home. And times to test for alcohol or any drug, certainly we talked about once a week and making it random, but also trust your instincts. If your gut's telling you that something doesn't seem right, that your kid's using or was at a slippery place, they were at a rock concert or they were hanging out with Johnny again, who always seems to have drugs or alcohol on him, that is a good time to test. Trust your instincts. Listen to your instincts on that. Let's see. Again, call us with the results. Make sure that we know what's going on, if they're clean or dirty. The other thing about drug testing that I think is important is, if you suspect your child's using, really rely on the drug test and don't get into passive-aggressive communication or actions with your child, such as hugging them only so you can really smell their breath, wearing them down by interrogating them with questions. All that does is really erode the relationship between the parent and the child. Just rely on the drug test. That's the best way to determine if they're using or not. If you suspect it, test. Don't accuse them of it until you have the results. It's not fair to accuse them of it until you have the results in front of you. All right, well, that wraps up drug testing. Please proceed to the next video, and thank you very much.